Speaking of stereotypes, all right. I was having a quick lunch at the Carl's Jr. because I'm on my way somewhere. And homeless guy was out there in the parking lot up for change. And I saw this guy like getting into this really nice Mercedes-Benz. I mean, it's so late before. And I said, oh, here we go. Homeless guy approaches him. The guy and gave the guy $1. And I was like, no way. I mean, that guy broke the stereotype. And then almost like the next day, I was at that job, the first job that I got recently, and this guy was pulling up a truck, you know, big old. He asked me, "Is it true?" Because there's like, you know, there's the office spaces in front, and then there's the back where they have the big roll-up doors, you know, where the deliveries are made. And he says, "Can I drive all the way through?" Because basically it's a pain in the ass if you're driving a semi that you pull in someplace and you have to back all the way out. I hadn't been there long enough to really know. I mean, there was never any reason for me to go all the way through there, so I couldn't honestly tell him yes. I didn't want to lie to the guy. So this guy comes pulling out in a Mercedes, wearing a tie and a white shirt, and his windows are rolled up, and I kind of like flag him down. You think, oh no, this guy's a weirdo, what's he gonna do? He reluctantly stops, reluctantly rolls his window down. And I said, do you know if this trucker can go all this, is there an exit all the way through? And he just kind of looks at me and just nods, doesn't say a word, and then starts to roll up his window and then drives away. And I thought, okay, that guy fits the stereotype. Friggin' whatever, insert your word there. So, yeah, he might suffer, but he doesn't suffer like the poor. Oh. Real quick mention, I'm not really doing a shout out to the Shady Crusader, but I'm going to mention him because Cyber9 Rounder compared him to Truman Capote. And Cyber9's always like, oh, you stole that from me. You all stole that from me. He's copying me. Well, talk about copying. Remember how he used to really make fun of the people that use puppets in their videos? Oh, you know, got puppets and puppets. Now you can't stop the man. He's constantly doing puppet videos. What happened to where you were dissing these grown men for playing with puppets, Cyber9? So now he compared young Shady Crusader to Truman Capote. Did I already mention that? Hey, I was saying that a long time ago. I called him an unwashed Truman Capote. Because there's some of his mannerisms, especially when he lights up a cigarette, is so reminiscent of Truman Capote. He lights up the cigarette and then speaks. Very reminiscent. But it's funny, Cyber9, you see it too, so, you know, good for you. But I said it first. All right, moving right along. Front page. Gaddafi's son reportedly dies in strike. Yeah, it's funny when you're dropping bombs on people. There's a lot of collateral damage. 3 of the leader's grandchildren. Attack killed Saif and 3 of the leader's grandchildren. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's good, but, you know, is that going to make them stop? I don't know. It's bad. Innocent people getting killed. You know, it used to be like this whole thing. Of course, you know, they say all's fair in love and war. But they used to try to avoid killing the women. At least people that fight honorable wars. In Shakespeare, of course that's fiction, but was it that movie, not that movie, well, I saw the movie version. I didn't actually see the play or read the But what was the one where they, onward into the breach, lads, onward into the breach. It was Henry V? I don't know. It was a Henry somebody, I think. And he punishes his men for raping and pillaging. And at least there's the fictional idea, or they strive for this notion that we will be honorable men. And now you don't even hear people pretending to be anymore. I guess ever since World War II, and they just randomly bomb cities. And so let's see, and then we'll be Angie because tragedy of the tornadoes in Alabama, and Angie's not too far from the Alabama. I talked to her today, and she's doing all right, but we'll give her a quick call at near the end of Fez Night. Okay, and so let's see. Okay, well, I was going through here. I won't bore you too much with news anymore. Too much more news, but let's say. Well, Donald Trump's not on this list. Mitt Romney, Rick Santorum, Tim Pawlenty. I got it. Donald, man. Donald Trump. Sarah Palin, you know, running mate again, huh? What do you think? God, doesn't her voice like... I mean, she's I have to say, she's an attractive woman. But her voice? Oh, my God. It's pure torture. So here's this guy Joe Arpaio, known as the really, really tough sheriff. Well, he's in trouble. Auditors found that Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio's office took $99 million in tax money that was supposed to fund jails and improperly spent it on roundups of suspected illegal immigrants and investigation of the sheriff's political foes. Okay, now that's the real dirty deal. He's a Republican, by the way. Not that Democrats are clean themselves, but Democrats tend not to pretend to be so clean, so high and mighty, like the Democrats. I mean, not like, oh, Freudian slip, like the Republicans. No, you know, Democrats. You know, we're all like ex-hippies and, you know, free love and druggies and stuff. You know, come on. But not Republicans. They're law and order, and doing stuff against your political foes. Hey, remember Watergate? So anyway, yeah, Al Brookman, you know I love you. Yeah, this guy's in trouble, and this is the guy. His name rang a bell. This is the guy that put tents out in the desert and had volunteer chain gang, and made the inmates wear pink underwear. You know, because he's such a hard nose. Anyway, I'm kind of glad to see him in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, I'm of that. You know, I'm a liberal, bleeding heart. I'm of that person that I say prison should not be just about punishing it. Sure, we have to separate them from the good people, keep them away from doing harm. But if there's a chance to rehabilitate, should do that. I mean, if you take a mean dog and put it in a cage and make it suffer, you're only going to get a meaner dog. That's some common sense wisdom there. I didn't get that from no book learning. Doesn't Tea Party people love common sense people that don't get their knowledge from books? That's what Timmy likes. Timmy just that are streetwise. Distrust anybody. They're learning from books. Doesn't speak with a accent like that. And you leave it to Andy to come by with one of her socks. Hey, Fez Night. No, I don't. It's just he's been. All right. So anyway, real quick. This is the last part. Calendar section. Okay. If you love movies, the LA Times is one of the great papers to read because, after all, isn't Hollywood in Los Angeles? And one of the great things, I mean, they have these wonderful full-page ads and these in-depth stories about upcoming movies. There's one that's kind of interesting where they combine science fiction with the Old West. Ford stars in the Western Cowboys and Apes. And there's a great full-page ad for the upcoming Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And, yeah, these really, really great big ads and teasers. Of course, there's ones I'm not going to go see, like Transformers or Conan the Barbarian or any of that. But I am sort of intrigued, even though I'm not a big comic book fan, or I wouldn't even know too much about it, but I am kind of intrigued by the Green Lantern. Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about the Royals a little bit. Okay. Even though, you know, I'm a so-called Anglophile, which is not something that's bad. It's just somebody that grew up How can I explain it? Maybe it's because the Beatles made an impact on me as a child. Maybe I saw a few British films that, you know, had the cool scenes of London, like To Sir with Love, or that's one movie I saw when I was young that made an impression on me. Also, Georgie Girl. I have bits and pieces of that in my mind for some reason. And of course, Mary Poppins. And I just fell in love with English cars. And anyway. And then plus my dad, when I was a kid, told me my ancestors came from England. But actually, were more Irish. Well, one thing I looked up is the earliest traceable ancestor was the first Irishman to ever have a statue erected for him or in his honor. Of course, it was destroyed by Irish rebels later because my ancestor was one of those Irish. The statue was erected by the English or the British. So he's one of those Irish that joined the other side and got rich, apparently. But still, he had the honor of being the first Irishman to ever have a statue honor. So anyway, the Royals. Now, yeah, I'm not such a keen fan of the Royals. I wrote something on Leslie Blood's page, and Mr. Egg God came by and said it was he enjoyed what, and I'm sorry, Leslie Blood, I didn't know you were really bad at guessing acts. I just thought you were British. Anyway. It was funny though, he asked me if I was watching the I didn't watch anything. I didn't watch one bit of live footage or even recorded footage. I watched some of the protests and about it in yesterday's paper. And my friend John Cox, who I can't remember his channel names, like he's got Guy LaFrog, Brit spelled backwards, told me that Prince Harry at the official reception, but the raucous party they had afterwards, apparently, wore a fez and referred to his brother as the dude and the wife as the dudette or the duchess or something. I don't know. The dude and the duchess. I don't know. But the part that intrigued me is that he wore and so, you know, Fezes, they're making a comeback. And I won't claim I invented the Fez. Pops is saying, oh, you're unoriginal because you wore one in the Sons of the Desert and Aaron Jeff and all that. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that moment when I put on a festive vlog, I thought, yeah, I'm going to rip those. Yeah.